Ah, gorillas, the giant omnivore apes from the tropical rainforests of Africa. They're a loved animal by millions of people across the world. They're mostly known for being big and very strong, but for the most part perceived as gentle giants. They eat veggies, love to play, hang with the family. It's a simple life for a third closest relative. But what if I told you there's more to gorillas than just being the big chill monkey of the animal kingdom? They've existed for roughly 7 million years and share 98% of the same DNA as us, and are very intelligent. That's right, baby. Today, we will be looking at the gorilla. We'll be looking at the facts, their history, their impact on the mainstream media, and what they're doing in modern day. So sit down, grab a drink, and let's learn some stuff about gorillas. Gorillas have two species, and each species has two subspecies, the eastern gorilla and the western gorilla. The eastern gorilla lives in the rainforests of the Democratic Republic of Congo, Rwanda, and Uganda. The eastern gorilla subspecies are the mountain gorilla and the eastern lowland gorilla. The eastern lowland gorilla is the largest species of gorilla, as some silverbacks can get up to 550 pounds and 6 foot 5 inches tall. To put that in perspective, the average silverback weight is 430 pounds and height is about 5 feet tall. So imagine the average silverback that's already huge, then imagine seeing an eastern lowland gorilla that is the height of the rock. Terrifying, but also pretty darn cool. The other eastern gorilla are called the mountain gorillas. For a reason, they typically live 8,000 to 13,000 feet above elevation. They have a thick coat of fur, as sometimes the weather they live in could get to as low as 0. These gorillas are built for the cold and live a mile above elevation. You might as well put them on the Denver Broncos at this point. Bo Nix needs some extra help up there. So why not at this point? The second species is the western gorilla. This species also has two subspecies, and the first is the western lowland gorilla. These gorillas are the smallest of the species, but small for a gorilla is 300 pounds. They happen to be very quiet animals, but thankfully researchers believe these gorillas have 22 different vocalizations for communications for gorillas in their pack, such as barks, screams, and grunts. The last species is the cross river gorilla, and these gorillas are native to Cameroon and Nigeria, and are actually critically endangered. That was a bit of a downer, but luckily the WWF and officials from Nigeria and Cameroon have helped these endangered species. It is now illegal to kill gorillas in Cameroon and Nigeria. Thank God, help those gorillas. A typical silverback is a strong boy, as they can probably lift around 1,700 pounds. There was reports of them lifting 4,000 pounds, but the claim is not reliable and is very likely outdated speculation. And it's more likely the big apes lift around 1,700 pounds, maybe up to 2,000 pounds. But who gives a damn? They're still strong enough to lift your mom, and that's good enough for me. And unlike humans who get most of their strength from their lower body, gorillas get most of their strength from their upper body. A main reason for this is because their arms are longer than their legs, hence why they walk on all fours a lot. When silverbacks normally fight, they will use their teeth for biting and hands and feet for grappling. Sometimes two alpha gorillas from different families will fight, and this could lead to the death of one of the gorillas. The winner of the fight will take the females and have exclusive mating rights with them. Damn. But most of the time, gorillas are gentle creatures, and a lot of the time you see a silverback get aggressive, it is to protect his family, because these animals are family-centered. Female gorillas have very tight bonds with their children, taking good care of the youngsters for about 3 years. But not only the moms, but the dads, which are usually the silverbacks, spend time with their children as well, raising them, protecting them, even playing with them. Just good dads overall. I wish my dad was like that. Gorillas normally eat mostly vegetation. An adult gorilla consumes an average of about 45 pounds of food a day. The food they mostly eat are stems, leaves, fruits, termites, ants, and sometimes if they're feeling fancy, they'll eat a snail or two. And since these large apes eat so much vegetation, they rarely, if ever, drink water. Because they're eating so much veggies that there's water in them, they'll get enough from it. Moving on from that, you ever wonder why a gorilla is so damn big and powerful despite eating leaves and ants all day? Well, I'll tell you. You see, the biology of a gorilla is different from a human. A human needs to consume protein and high-intensity workouts to build muscle, but a gorilla gets their protein a different way. A gorilla has a special digestive tract that can extract protein from leaves and stems. So since they're taking protein from stems and plants, and also getting protein from termites and ants, they'll have a lot of protein in them, and with all the moving around they do, it builds the muscle, hence why they are so big and so strong and full of muscle. I'm so goddamn jealous that humans can't do that. Thanks, ancestors. Now I know some sickos are probably wondering how big is a gorilla's member, and yes, I know, a lot of people want to know this. And I'll tell you right now, it's about 1.25 inches for the silverback. Yep, only 1.25. Despite being consistently the largest ape, they have ironically the smallest cock of all apes. Go figure. Going from penises, let's look at their stool. You're getting all the good info, buddy. In Volcanoes National Park in Rwanda, it was reported infants crap nearly a pound a day. Medium-sized gorillas are about 5 pounds, and silverbacks are about 8 pounds. 8 pounds of a day. My goodness, that's a lot of leaves and stems. A few other neat things they do is use sticks to measure how deep the river is, use twigs to scoop food, and build bamboo ladders up trees to help their babies climb. And if you ever encounter a gorilla, which a lot of time they are shy and run away, but if you encounter a big silverback, it's simple what you do. Crouch down, avoid eye contact, and relax, and you'll be fine. As long as they don't feel threatened, you will be chill with the big apes. And even if you tempt fate and smile and stare into the eyes of one, it will likely do a bluff charge, meaning the big apes only attack if necessary. But I wouldn't try this. Just sit down and avoid eye contact, and you will be good. What you may find interesting is gorillas were once considered a cryptid. For those who don't know what a cryptid is a creature that people think exists but have no evidence that it does exist, like Bigfoot, the Jersey Devil, Mothman, etc. And at one point in time, the gorilla was considered one. The Greek explorer Hanno, back in 6th century BC, explored through West Africa, eventually finding a population of hairy and savage men. They attempted to capture the men but failed. Then the hairy and savage men started throwing rocks and stones at Hanno and his crew, but he managed to capture 3 females, but they were so aggressive that he ended up killing them and flaying them. Just what those sick Greeks did back then. You ever play God of War? Read Greek stories? It's not far-fetched. It is a pretty big jump from getting scratched and getting a little cut to being like, I'm going to skin you alive. Anyways, Hanno would call these group of hairy people gorilla. But modern-day research suggests they were likely bonobos or chimpanzees. But nonetheless, the name and legend of the gorilla began. Ever since then, explorers would call this great ape a terrible man-eating monster, which is completely disproven by modern researchers, and it's just common sense. Listen, I know it was like over 1,000 years ago, but I'd imagine some explorers saw a gorilla and it's just like, yep, that eats people and they're monsters. Oh, did you see it happen? It's because I said so, Mike, shut the f*** up! So because of these explorers, the legend grew of the gorilla as a fierce man-eating machine. Until 1847, when the species of gorilla was first confirmed, when American missionary Thomas Savage, while exploring the Gabon River in Africa, found skulls that looked unfamiliar. He then took the skulls back to the US and found an anatomist. Then he confirmed the new species, troglodytes gorilla, or the modern day name, gorilla. But then a few years later, French-American Paul Chalou, it's the French, set his own expedition to find gorillas, and he did in 1850, being the first to describe the large apes. He states, "There stood before us an immense male gorilla. He looked big." Okay, I'm gonna stop doing that in French accent. I'm so sorry. Nearly 6 feet high, with immense body, huge chest, and great muscular arm. Large, deep gray eyes, and a hellish expression on his face, which seemed to me like a nightmare vision. The gorilla began to growl, show its teeth, bang its chest, and Paul believed he was gonna die. Then he shot and killed the gorilla, which back then no one knew how gorillas worked, so I don't blame them too much because they were likely staring into his eyes, which is a no-no to gorillas, and the gorilla was likely going to do a bluff charge of the man and scare him away, but they'd never seen this animal before, so I'll cut him some slack. I just find it funny that for hundreds of years, people assumed gorillas as a man-eating beast, a monster of the forest, but when they first actually see them, it's a large hairy dude sitting on his ass on the ground eating berries like... And Paul was probably like, oh my god, it's a demon. But what's interesting is all the facts I told you about discovering the gorilla were of the Western world. Africans have known about gorillas for thousands of years. And in fact, the Yaoundé people of Cameroon believed in a god named Ninji, the gorilla god. He's the son of Zamba, who created the Yaoundé people. Ninji and his brothers are responsible for creating humans in their image. And another ethnic group called the Fang people, who live in Equatorial Guinea and Cameroon, believe in the god Ninji and consider him to be the god of fire and a positive force. Now let's talk about gorillas killing people. Now, there has been reports of gorillas killing humans, but none of these are confirmed. And yes, I'm aware there probably has been a time where a gorilla has killed a human because gorillas and humans have coexisted for thousands of years, and it's just inevitable. But keep in mind, majority of gorilla attacks that happen are at the fault of humans, not the gorilla being aggressive. Gorillas are very chill animals compared to the majority of the animals in the animal kingdom. No, like seriously, there's confirmed cases of zebras, giraffes, and deer. Yes, deer have physically killed humans, but a gorilla still doesn't have a confirmed kill. But anyways, gorillas only attack if provoked, and humans, Well, they might just kill you because they feel like it. However, there is a report of a gorilla ripping a man's head and arm off back in 1910, where a Boringo tribe member was going to grab some bamboo and surprised a family of gorillas. The large male immediately charged and attacked the man, and later he was minus a head and an arm. Now, if you're reading this in 1910, you would probably believe this, but reading this now, you're probably like, that's nothing what a gorilla would do. And you're right. First off, no one saw the gorilla rip off the guy's head or arm. And again, this isn't even a confirmed kill. No gorilla has killed a human since people of Earth started tracking it. And what I think happened is, with all due respect to the Boringo man, a gorilla ain't just gonna kill you if you surprise it. It could attack you if you surprise it, but it's likely gonna do a bluff charge, but it won't kill you. You would need to be actively trying to kill that gorilla for it to maul you to death. And I know some people are gonna be disappointed, but that gorilla did not rip that man's head or arm off. Did he kill him? Maybe. But a gorilla isn't King Kong. They're not predators. They do enough to survive. What most likely happened is the gorilla knocked this man out, and a leopard came by and bit the man's arm and head off. And I know it said torn off, but I'm calling this guy who wrote this a damn liar. Yeah, that's right, a damn fibber. Sorry if that's a bit of a disappointment. And I'm also pretty sure this was debunked. And hell, I don't even believe it either. I'm just trying to point out the misinformation that can be spread. But I'm also mentioning this because gorillas still get treated by some people as massive killing machines, still today, even though they're big chill dudes, goddammit. Let's just move on. In 1933, Marion C. Cooper created one of the first giant monster movies ever, King Kong. The story of an actress and a director traveling with a cruise ship to Skull Island to film a jungle film, but are ambushed by the natives and the actress is kidnapped and is to be sacrificed to King Kong. Yes, I'm aware King Kong technically isn't a gorilla, he's an ape-like creature, yeah, whatever. He's a gorilla in the Peter Jackson films, which is the best one in my opinion. But regardless if he's a gorilla or not, the director Marion C. Cooper said gorillas sparked his interest, thus inspiring him to make King Kong. He just thought of it as, what if there was a giant gorilla-like creature? So he ran with it. Also, this is a time where gorillas were not known to the public, so they see these giant apes that look scary and thought they made the perfect movie monster. And if you guessed it, this wasn't the best reputation of gorillas because of the King Kong films. And at the end of the movie, King Kong is going on a rampage, destroying New York City, killing people, and taking a woman, and climbing the Empire State Building. And even for years, and even a little bit today, this would give the gorilla a bad rap. But 48 years later, in 1981, we would get a new piece of media of the gorilla that would take inspiration from the King Kong name, created by a young Japanese video game designer by the name of Shigeru Miyamoto, who created Donkey Kong for the arcade. Donkey Kong is a game about a giant gorilla by the name of Donkey Kong, who has kidnapped Pauline, and you, Mario, must save her from the crazed monkey. He throws barrels at you, you climb ladders. It's one of the most popular arcade games ever, you feel me? But in later years, Donkey Kong would get his own game series, that being Donkey Kong Country. Donkey Kong Country would get 3 games for the Super Nintendo, a Wii game, a Wii U game, and a 3D game for the Nintendo 64, becoming a very successful franchise for Nintendo. Donkey Kong had the entire crew, his chimp sidekick Diddy, his chill cool friend Funky Kong, and his hot girlfriend Candy Kong. Did I just call a cartoon monkey hot? Huh, I guess I just did. The stubborn gorilla will become one of the most famous characters for Nintendo today, and one of the most popular gorillas in media ever. Now, as I previously mentioned for King Kong, the movie did not give gorillas the best reputation. Along with this, gorillas were heavily poached, and no attention went towards them. But their reputation would be put in a better light when Dian Fossey started studying mountain gorillas in 1967. She studied their way of life, ecology, and behavior, and lived alongside them for more than 20 years. Mountain gorillas were critically endangered and were close to extinction because of poachers. Even a gorilla Dian was really close to, Digit, was unfortunately killed by poachers, and Dian would personally fight poachers by wearing scary masks and pretending to use magic to scare poachers, burning snares, and taking on poachers directly with confrontation. She did not hold back. Dian would eventually use her own funds to purchase boots, uniforms, and food, and additional wages for park wardens to enforce anti-poaching laws. And fortunately, this spawned anti-poaching patrols. Dian Fossey would write Gorillas in the Mist, a very popular book about the endangered mountain gorillas, and to show the bond she had with the gorillas. This book showed gorillas need protection, with also showing them in a good light. The book will be adapted into a movie called Gorillas in the Mist, starring Sigourney Weaver as Dian Fossey. But unfortunately, Dian Fossey was assassinated in 1988 in Volcanoes National Park in Rwanda. She was 53 years old. But even in her death, the Dian Fossey Gorilla Fund is still around today and is still helping gorillas in Africa to this day. Gorillas in the modern day are very popular. Lots of memes about them, and they are generally loved. There's lots of zoos taking good care of them. There's actually an old video on YouTube of a gorilla in a zoo, and no, not that one! We don't talk about that. That tragedy. It was a kitten falling into the gorilla exhibit, and the gorillas kept picking it up and smelling its ass, and one of them kinda threw it. Okay, not throw, kind of tossed it, but the gorillas are so strong that that kitten traveled some distance. And I'm not showing the video because YouTube. There's also two gorillas banging at the beginning of it. Then the gorillas kept shooing the cat away, but again, they are so strong that the kitten is doing barrel rolls with a simple flick of the wrist. But before you judge and go, what a ruthless animal, what you gotta understand is the gorillas are not trying to hurt the cat. What is likely happening is the gorillas didn't like the scent and wanted to get that scent away from them. Basically, the gorillas sniffed the cat and went, ew, and tossed it like a sack of potatoes and kept shooing it away because they know like smell. But don't get it twisted. If this kitten fell into majority of the zoo enclosures, it would likely be dead. But when it landed in the gorilla enclosure, it may look a little bad, but the kitten is alive. It is okay. The zookeepers came in and got him out of there. You know why? Because gorillas are pretty chill animals. If the gorillas knew the scent of the cat and the appearance, they probably wouldn't even bother the cat. But since they were unfamiliar with the animal and the smell, the gorillas were, honestly, gonna sound stupid, probably a little freaked out. But they weren't trying to harm the feline. They were trying to get that cat away from them. But it's a cat, and it doesn't know what's happening, and it's spooked, and doesn't know where to go. And the gorillas got no idea what's happening. They just want this small cat to leave their area. The gorillas were basically like, can you leave, sir? You're not a monkey like us. There's also a psychopath laughing in the background of this video, probably huffing glue and hitting galaxy gas. But other than that cat, there has been other videos of small animals falling into the gorilla enclosure, like this bird with a hurt wing, and the gorilla goes up to check on it, giving it some gentle nudges, and eventually leaving it alone. Pretty neat stuff. They're pretty gentle animals, you guys. I can't stress this enough. There's also a video of this silverback gorilla in the Colorado Zoo, and there's a rabbit that got into the enclosure, and the rabbit doesn't care. It's munching on leaves, and the silverback doesn't care either. It's just minding its business. Just guys being dudes as usual. There's also a zoo in Erie, Pennsylvania, where a female gorilla named Samantha shares her enclosure with a Dutch rabbit named Panda, and it is technically her pet. She's very gentle with it, and she feeds it as well. In fact, there's a zoo in Taiwan called the Taipei Municipal Zoo. I believe they let the gorillas share the same enclosure as the mudjack deer. Here's a baby gorilla and a deer playing, and the young gorilla trying to kiss the deer. The zoo has also seen these two animals play together, and the gorillas try to feed the deer. And here's a baby deer sharing a lounge spot with a silverback gorilla. The gorilla looks a little annoyed at first, but after he's like, whatever, you can stay. I mentioned before the cat and the gorillas would probably be chill companions if the two were familiar with their smells, surroundings, and their appearances. How do we know this though? Well, from what I've shown you, gorillas are completely fine with small animals around them, but we have seen a gorilla have a pet cat before, that being Coco the gorilla. I know everybody's saying there might be a lot of manipulation with the Coco story, and it may be lying how smart she was, or exaggerate her smarts. And the lady who worked on her might be a nut job, but we can't deny that Coco had a cat who she did take care of and love that damn cat. The best story I've ever heard is a Coco ripped the sink off the wall and blamed her cat all ball, saying cat did it. If this was fake and it was a lie by Francine Patterson, I'll freaking raise hell. I'll
find where you live.
But like, how could you ever top that story? You can't. Despite if Coco was actually as smart as she was advertised, she was still an amazing animal who brought a lot of people joy, including Robin Williams. She had her own pet and was overall a very smart animal. Keeping on the topic of gorillas and zoos, let's talk about when a child fell into the gorilla exhibit. No, stop that! I'm not talking about that! Even though that day was a tragedy. And how could you not watch a child, lady? We lost a goddamn legend that day, you son of a bitch! Sorry about that. Now let's talk about when a gorilla broke out of a zoo to seek revenge. Okay, so now this is just kind of funny. It may sound a little bad, but it will make sense in a few minutes. Everyone is okay, so in hindsight, it's pretty funny. So in 2007, at the Rotterdam Zoo in the Netherlands, a 57-year-old Dutch woman loved gorillas, and she especially loved the big silverback gorilla named Boquito. And this lady would visit the zoo every day for Boquito, smile and make direct eye contact with Boquito all the time, even though the zookeepers warned her to not do that. And by the way, smiling and making eye contact with the gorilla means you're challenging it. It's basically me going up to a stranger, slapping them in the face, and going, "Do something, pussy." Yeah, you're not gonna do anything. But not only that, there was also kids throwing rocks at him. So Boquito was pretty freaking pissed. So he hopped 3.5 meters across a moat and crossed a 7,000 electrical volt fence. And at that point, it was like Kratos at the beginning of God of War 3. There was gonna be some chaos. I'm also reminding you this gorilla has seen this woman every day, and this woman has been challenging him every single day. So Boquito found the woman and dragged her 45 meters. And it's not funny, but it is funny. It's pretty funny. And the gorilla would bite her before getting tranquilized. He stopped after about a half an hour. The woman was injured but still alive, and I'll say if that gorilla wanted to kill her, he would. I think he was just teaching her a lesson. But even after that day, this woman still likes Boquito, saying he will and always be my favorite. Since he has been in the Billy Drop, I have maintained contact with him. When I put my hand in the glass, he does the same. If I smile, he smiles. So here's why it's pretty funny. Because this lady was warned, and even after being attacked, she still continues to do it. But maybe Boquito PETA was just teaching her a lesson and the two are chill now. Now let's talk about when gorillas don't try to get revenge and actually help humans. And that's why we're going to look at Jambo, the silverback gorilla from a zoo from New England. In 1986, a child fell into the gorilla pit, unconscious, and the gorillas all came to see the commotion. And the alpha gorilla, Jambo, saw the child, guarded him, and kept the other gorillas away from him, and even rubbed his back to comfort the boy. But the boy woke up crying and scared the gorillas away. Then the zookeepers came in and retrieved the child. Even another child fell into the gorilla exhibit. God, this is happening too much. Anyways, in 1996, a child fell 20 feet into the gorilla exhibit. And I'm no parent, but it can't be that hard to watch a 3-year-old. Anyhow, it was at the Brookville Zoo outside of Chicago. The child was once again unconscious, but this time it wasn't a silverback. It was a female gorilla named Minty. Picked up the child, cradled the child, and trying to help it. And the gorilla would place the child at the cage door so the zookeepers could retrieve the child. Gorillas are just so darn cool, man. God damn! Now, I hate bringing this up, but if that child fell into the chimp exhibit, the chimps wouldn't be as nice as the gorillas. But unfortunately, people, we are reaching the end of this video, and I want to end it off with a great send-off. What better way to end it than the goose chase video? Here it is, everybody. The world's most feared animal, who causes chaos and rampages, and loves causing pain to others. And the silverback gorilla. Now, gorillas may be intimidating. They're big, they got straight faces, and sometimes media and entertainment portray them as scary and ferocious. But in reality, they're very calm and shy creatures. And yes, I did talk about cases of gorillas being aggressive, but at the end of the day, they are just animals. Every animal is somewhat hostile and aggressive at some point. For the standards of wild animals, they are one of the most friendly, non-dangerous wild animals you'll come across. But that's the beauty of a gorilla. They're a massive animal with incredible strength, but have shown not only to be friendly, but pretty damn funny. And Casual Geographic put it best. They are the most unserious animal, because they really are. They're big goofy apes who like their veggies and like being goofy. They've brought us so much great stuff in the mainstream media, like King Kong. At one point, they were considered a cryptid, a monster of the jungle. They're your favorite protagonist in a Nintendo game, and have shown to have connections to humans and other animals. They're great animals who have lived here for 7 million years and share the second most DNA of any other animal on this planet. Gorillas are awesome, and they are my favorite animal in this world. And that is the video. I know this is different from my usual God of War video, but I love gorillas, and I just really want to make a video about them. It's my channel, I'll do what I want. But that's it. Tell me in the comments what's your favorite animal. Is it also the gorilla? Is it a capybara? I don't know. I don't even know who you are. But that's all from me. Please leave a like and subscribe, and thank you for watching, everybody. Have a great day.